Michael Olise signs a new contract at Palace. Guess what? It means the deal to Chelsea is off. I'm going to tell you why. Reece James is out for months, not weeks. He's out for months. Reece James has another injury. And Lewis Hall, the harsh truth of what is going on, non-emotional, non-reactionary, absolute straight to the pinpoint facts with a little bit of opinions based into it, explanation coming your way. It's realistic, it's optimistic, but at the same time, it's upsetting, but we need to talk about it. What is happening at Chelsea is something that we need to get used to. This is the norm. If you don't like it, you're going to spend a lot of time being upset. Let's get into it. Let's break it down. Welcome to the Kavkas View. In today's video, you've seen the running order. It is jam-packed, and when I tell you, it's a video that really epitomizes how bad Chelsea's day-to-day has been. No way anything could have got worse. Lose a player through injury. Lose a player that's already agreed to join you. Sell a player that no one in the fan base primarily wants to sell. It all happens. We're going to talk about it. But before we get started, I want to say thank you very much for the 30k subscribers. It absolutely means the world to me. Like, it's absolutely mind-boggling. So if you're new to the channel, appreciate it if you just subscribe. Let's get to 30.1. We keep going. 100k is the goal. We're openly saying that on this channel. And another thing, every single one of you that hit the like button, I truly appreciate it because it's the reason why this channel is growing at such a rapid rate. Thank you very much. Hit it again. We're aiming for 1,000 likes. Now let's move on with this video. All right, let's start with Michael Olise because this is the transfer news and it's the one that we need to get out the way first. What's going on? What happened? And why are the alternatives so stinky? Let's start with what's happened. The deal for Michael Olise to Chelsea from Crystal Palace is off. The reason it's off is because the player has decided to re-sign with Crystal Palace and sign a 4-year contract. This was always a possibility purely based on the fact that Palace didn't want to lose him for the release clause that they were going to lose him for, which is in the region of £35 million. So they were going to offer a shit ton of money, excuse my French. They were literally going to do whatever it takes to make sure that the kid stayed at Crystal Palace for a long period of time. He gets another release clause in there with a higher minimum value, which is good. However, what happened behind closed doors that articulated this to occur? Well, number one, Chelsea somehow found out about the release clause. Palace were fuming about that. Palace said they had evidence that Chelsea were tapping up the player, allegedly. This is what is being reported by numerous sources, and they are allegedly saying that Chelsea were in contact with the player without their permission. As a result, Chelsea were going to be at risk of getting reported to tribunal, and a long court case was going to conspire from it. What does this mean? It means that Chelsea basically decided, well, you're not getting Lewis Hall by that logic, and we're going to take back off. You can have Olise, you can re-sign your player. However, we don't want this to become a public affair and a PR disaster. Palace got exactly what they wanted, and it also means that now Chelsea are looking out for alternatives. And when I tell you the alternatives stink, in one sense, they really stink. Now, one of them is the Welsh international Brendan Johnson. Brendan Johnson from Nottingham Forest. Who? Literally who? Look, guys, I'm going to say this in the nicest way. I've watched Nottingham Forest maybe 10 times last season, maybe 8 times last season. Never did I leave the game saying, you know what, that Brendan Johnson is a good player. I'm not going to lie and say I've looked at him. I'm not going to lie and say I analysed him. But sometimes when you watch a game, individuals catch your eye. Oh, man. I can't believe we're linked with Brendan Johnson. For £50 million, by the way, let that sink in. £50 million, the Guardian say Nottingham Forest want for him. We've filtered an opportunity to swap him for Trevor Chalobah. Chalobah's refusing to go there. Thank you, Trevor. This is why I love you. I absolutely love you. I don't want Brendan Johnson at my club. What is this? Brendan Johnson is not the caliber of player we need to be signing at Chelsea Football Club. If you're going to go to Nottingham Forest and try to acquire someone, get Morgan Gibbs-White. If you want to get a number 10, go get Morgan Gibbs-White. I'm not going to be overly excited about it, but you know what? I'm going to tell you, you know what? At least he can ball. At least he can score goals. At least he's fun to watch. Brendan Johnson. Never heard of the guy. I'm telling you now. B-Tech player. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. Number 2, we're linked with Mr. Bacola. He's French international, under 21. Very techie player based on the footage I saw of him. He scored 5 goals, 8 assists last year in all competition. Can play a right wing, left wing, number 10 apparently, but primarily is a winger. A lot of people compared his style to Raphael Leão's style in the sense that he's very lanky but quick and athletic across the ground, very tidy with his feet, can get in and out of individuals, but also has a goal threat. So Fabrice Hawkins, my guy from RMC, has basically said Chelsea have made an input to try to get their player. The attempts are very public. PSG have already had a pursuit rejected. Manchester City have been interested. So basically, by the catalogue of clubs that have looked at him, you could tell that this guy is not Brendan Johnson. But at the same time, I don't know enough to tell you guys he's better than Olise. I'm not an expert in the player. However, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But from the videos I have saw, it's going to be fun to watch. Bacala looks like a decent. Now we need to talk about Reece James. Reece James is out for a couple of months. This is being reported now by multiple sources. Initially, it broke out by different Twitter sources. And it's something that we need to be upset about because Reece had a long period of time to recover. Reece had a long period of time to get fit. And it looks like the injuries are not leaving him. And that's the sad truth. You can't be angry at the player. You're just upset at the situation. And that's exactly what I am. I think Reece is bloody amazing. Like, you look at what Reece was doing on Saturday. The way he was bombing forward. The way he was linking up. The way he looked like every bit of an amazing player that he is. Yet, we're going to miss him now for potentially months. Not weeks, but months. And it's hamstring again. There's nothing we can do at this moment in time apart from hope that Chelsea's medical staff find a way to cure him. Because he's broken at this moment in time. Like, he genuinely is broken. What is the point of having Reece James on the book on such a heavy wage when he hardly plays? Like, it really is frustrating. He's one of my favourite players and it hurts me to see him get back to being fit, get back to a certain level of standard where he feels ready to play. This time he came back, he looks lean, he looks like a fighting machine, literally. Yet straight away, after 75 minutes, he comes off. I knew it, I had a bad feeling when he came off. They tried to play it off as nothing, this is just rotation. We would just had to make a tactical sub, he was just exhausted. And maybe it's the training that Pochettino demands from his players, but he can't change the training just because of one player. Maybe they can alter his training, but it is what it is, guys. Like, Reece James is out. The positive here is we got Malo Gusto. Malo Gusto is more than ready to step in. We saw him at Chelsea in friendlies. We saw him against Liverpool. The guy is a top player. Like, he's young, he's ready to grow into his ceiling, he's ready to develop and show us what his potential is. And I am so happy that we went from Azpilicueta to Malo. We've got Desassi, who can play right back. We've got Trevor Chalobah, worst case scenario, who can play right back. Trevor's got an injury as well for a month. It looks like he won't be getting sold. So, look, we just need to be honest and realistic about it. At the end of the day, Mr. Reece James is injured for a couple of months. And finally, Lewis Hall. What happened with this Lewis Hall saga? Why is he getting sold? Why is all of a sudden David Ornstein dropping a bomba and making us realize that Lewis Hall at this moment in time is going to be leaving Chelsea? Well, Lewis Hall signed a 6-year plus 1 deal. Then some nonsense kicked off with Palace and the loan got cancelled. And when the loan got cancelled, what happened? All of a sudden, Newcastle came back in. So apparently, earlier in the summer, Newcastle came and asked for Lewis Hall. They said to Chelsea, how much are we for Lewis Hall? Chelsea said 60 M's. They said, here's 17. Chelsea told them, do one. See you later, Giza. We're not interested. Have a nice day. We heard Southwest London is very nice. Go get some food, get some dinner, but you ain't getting Lewis Hall off us. Don't even try to come West London because we're definitely not going to allow you that close to our place. But, and this is where it gets interesting, according to David Ornstein, and this is where I'm going to say, whilst I believe what David Ornstein says, because he's very reputable and credible. He's credible because it comes from a club's mouth. I'm not stupid, all right? Listen to this nonsense that he said. He said, Lewis Hall is pushing for a move out. He wants more first-team opportunities. Lewis Hall wants Champions League football. And Lewis Hall is a Newcastle fan. So it's always been his dream to play for Newcastle. Whilst I believe he wants first-team opportunities, he's more likely to get them at Chelsea, in my opinion, than he is at Newcastle. Purely based on the fact that Newcastle have got Dan Burn, who is a settled individual for the long period, right? He's going to play on the left back. Chelsea, on the other hand, have Ben Chilwell, who could get injured at any second, and Cucurella, who isn't fancied, and Ian Maatsen, who's viewed as a left winger, number 10, right winger, anything but a left back, which he is. If he goes on loan, comes back, there's a very good opportunity that next year he could be our number 1 left back. There is. That's a fact. Number 2, Champions League football. This kid is going to be put in the academy, apparently, at Newcastle. So that's nonsense. And finally, if he was such a Newcastle fan, right? If he loves Newcastle the way they're saying, why did he sign a 7-year deal? He was a free agent in 2 years' time. He would have had all the leverage to leave Chelsea Football Club. If he just refused it, went on loan, came back with a year in the Levi Colwell position. Listen, either pay me or sell me. It doesn't make sense. Club briefing, 100%. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. Chelsea are offered 28 million and they can't find the value for Conor Gallagher that they think that he's worth. They think he's worth 50 million and they're trying to renegotiate a new deal with him. Conor is renegotiating, Ian Maatson is renegotiating a new deal, and Chelsea offered 28 million. But it's not 28 million up front, it's 28 million obligation next year with a loan. Chelsea are trying to hardball Newcastle to get a 35 million pound obligation for next year with a loan. My question is, why and who is doing this? Apparently, this is coming from the top. Iqbali thinks the fee is too good to refuse. The kid is talented, but at the end of the day, decisions need to be made. I respect that, I agree that. If you're gonna sign Moises Caicedo for 115, you're gonna sign Romeo Lavia for 655, you're gonna go and get me another winger, you're going to go get me more players. At the end of the day, I understand it. I'm not stupid, we need to balance the books. But what I don't like is we're helping Newcastle out. Why are we helping Newcastle out? Why is Newcastle getting a player on loan when they're competing with us for top 4 who's going to contribute, in my opinion? This whole thing about him going into the youth academy, I don't think he's going to be there long. He's too good to be there. And then this is the other part that really irritates. We know Newcastle have money. I don't care if you got FFP issues. Pay 35 million. You don't want to pay 35 million? Cool, someone else will pay the 28 million. He is in demand to the point where someone else will sign. This is nonsense. I think this is Chelsea absolutely balancing the books, and there is nothing wrong with it, by the way. I want to reiterate that. When you want Caicedos, you want Lavias, you want Enzo Fernandez's, you need to balance the book, people. And that's the fact, that's the reality, that's the honest truth. I don't like that Iqbali is the one that's making these decisions, purely based on the fact that, what does Iqbali know about football to the point where he can decide whether this player is amicable enough to be warranted to be sold now or later? You hired sporting directors. And this is why I said Win Stanley cannot be allowing these lot to come in and close deals for him. It undermines him. So then they have enough of a say to say, you know what? I don't care how talented you think this kid is. We're selling him. Yes, I understand they're the bosses. I understand they need to make the final decisions. Doesn't mean I have to respect it. Doesn't mean I have to like it. I have to accept it. They make the decision. So, guys, this was the Kavkas View. Let me know what you lot think, because it's a very sticky situation. I don't believe the kid wants to leave. That's just my opinion. I want to know yours. Reece James being out, Brendan Johnson, Bacala, and Olise deals off. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Welcome to the Kavkas View. 30k is only the start for this channel. Peace out, I'm out.